Welcome back to Cheddar News, everyone. I'm live outside the New York Stock Exchange as the New York Stock Exchange's summer series rolls on. And we've got a great interview for you coming up. Yesterday, I spoke with the investor, entrepreneur, and actor Ashton Kutcher. We had a long conversation. And today we're going to air the second part of my interview with him. He talks about all things cryptocurrencies, NFTs, the race to space, and of course, the next big trend that he is following as a startup investor. Here's what he had to say.
I think that cryptocurrency is the latest trend. I mean, I stumbled upon it like 8 years ago or something, and thought it was fascinating then. I think I said when it was like during the Clinton-Trump campaigns, I said maybe the greatest hedge. I think it was like Clinton. It looked like it was going to be Trump and Sanders. At that point in time, I think I said maybe the best hedge is investing in Bitcoin. And had people done that, they would have found exponential gains in their capital at that point in time. So, but I still think that cryptocurrency is in its nascency, and especially smart contracts. And what can be built on top of smart contracts that are basically decentralized agreements. So anytime you have two parties that implicitly don't trust one another, forming an agreement with one another, a smart contract becomes applicable. And I think we're still in nascency relative to that market. I think that when we're talking about like 5G being unleashed, which is what we're here talking about, the potential of that is extraordinary. One, on the autonomous driving front, where you have multiple IoT devices that are able to speak to one another, and a lot of those devices being able to speak to one another in a very dense environment. I think that's the kind of thing that at&t 5G enables. I think that AR and VR, which we've all kind of been waiting for to get here, we've all sort of, there's been false starts against this. I think that market is about ready to explode in an extraordinary way. I think mobile gaming is about to explode in an extraordinary. So telemedicine, I think, is going to be extraordinary, and virtual work, as we've all come to learn about during the pandemic, I think is only going to become more pervasive.
Certainly, we see more of our digital lives playing out there in the ether these days. I know as an actor, well-known investor and entrepreneur yourself, you too have very much of your personal and professional life out there. And so as we build upon the 5G network and use those ultra-fast speeds to get our work done and to share our lives, how concerned are you about cybersecurity protection? I know SentinelOne is a company that you invested in, recently went public down here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. I'm just curious what cyber protection you have as someone who does have a very active digital life.
Well, first of all, you never tell somebody what kind of cybersecurity you're using. That's like rule number one of cybersecurity. There's another cybersecurity company that I invested in. It's called Coronet. And what Coronet does is helps to ensure that you don't get on networks that you don't want to be on. So sometimes you notice your phone like tries to automatically connect to various Wi-Fi networks. And Coronet helps ensure that you don't get onto one of these variable Wi-Fi networks where somebody can bore into your device and sort of utilize your information as ransomware. So the power of 5G is that you don't have to connect to some random Wi-Fi, right? So that's one less network that you have to basically give your information or credentials to. So that in a sense should increase security on one front. That being said, we're talking about a lot more devices being connected to the network. And that on the other side is going to create a lot more points of vulnerability, because every one of these endpoints is a potential threat vector. So for me, what do? I've got a bunch of variable passwords on everything that I use. I use one password. That's my personal. That I'm not afraid to say that. And I use two-factor auth on anything that has two-factor auth. And then I've got a bunch of other things on my machines to ensure that the endpoint is secure. And and that's the way I approach it.
Which sounds like a smart way. Ashton, I know we've been talking a lot about technology, a lot about 5G infrastructure, how crucial that is to every single technology that we'll be building in the future. My last question for you is, I do see you're a ticket holder with Virgin Galactic. When are you going to space?
You just hit on like a really sensitive subject for me. So when I got married and had kids, my wife basically encouraged that it was not a smart family decision to be heading into space when we have young children. So I ended up selling my ticket back to Virgin Galactic, and I was supposed to be on the next flight, but I will not be on the next flight. But at some point, I'm going to space.
A big thanks there to actor, investor, and entrepreneur Ashton Kutcher.